Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we explore the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Malang Kohut, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced, the lessons learned, and the strategies fueling future growth. Today, I'm absolutely thrilled to be joined by Emmett Lynch, a qualified adult sleep coach based in Northern Ireland, specializing in guiding adults through insomnia, poor sleep quality, anxiety-driven wakefulness, shift work disruptions, and lifestyle factors like diet and stress. He blends sleep science with evidence-based techniques, including cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, to create personalized sleep plans that tackle root causes like bad habits, disruptive thoughts, and behaviors, starting with a thorough assessment and ongoing accountability. His straightforward ethos is try easier, not harder, for real results that often show in just few weeks with consistency. With that being said, Emmett, let me officially welcome you to Founders Future.
Thank you. Thanks for having us on.
Man, I'm excited for you to be on the podcast. This is going to be a cool conversation. Let's just dive right into all of this. And how I love to open up every single one of these episodes is with a bit of traveling back in time first. So before you launched this current company of yours, what was that journey like for you before? And then eventually, what was the motivation for getting into this space?
Well, I've always worked in health. So I've worked in homelessness, drugs and alcohol, mental health, children and young people. I've worked in community development. I've worked in a wide range of different health settings. Now, the health model in Northern Ireland might be a little bit different to what it is maybe in the United States and stuff like that, where we have a national health service. So there's a little bit different. So I currently work still within the National Health Service, and I also work as well within the space of supporting people how to sleep better. What I was noticing more and more in my work in a private capacity was I was noticing that whenever we were talking about emotional health or mental health or even just your own journey in itself, one of the things that kept coming up and up all the time was people were finding it really, really difficult to actually get to sleep at nighttime. Either they had a very busy brain that just could not turn off, or they were getting that frequent 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, or even 2:30 wake up, and they were lying in their bed at nighttime and they just couldn't get back to sleep. And it kind of got me thinking, going, right, well, I do have a good experience and good knowledge and good skills in supporting people through a lot of kind of different life hurdles. But one area I was kind of unfamiliar was with sleep. So one session I pulled up like sleep hygiene information. I was kind of going, well, what do you think of this? And they were going, well, we know all that already. And it still doesn't work for us. And I was just kind of going, well, what does? And they go, well, we don't know. So I was all right, well, I need to go away and get trained in this area of work and sleep. They actually support you a little bit better. So that's what I did. I went back well over a year now, maybe a little bit more. I got trained as an online adult sleep coach, but I actually come from a CBT background. I have a good qualification on that. And CBT is just a very fancy word for cognitive behavioral therapy. It's about how your thoughts control how you think, and then how you think has a big impact on how you feel and how you behave throughout the day and how you look at your day, your week, your months, and even your future ahead. But there is a specialist CBTI, which is called behavioral therapy for insomnia, that specifically looks at supporting people who have trouble with sleep. And the thing I say about insomnia is that everyone experiences a period of insomnia. It's either acute, which is short term for about 2 week period, and that could come off the back of a relationship breakdown, maybe a high stress area within your work, or even a period of grief. What I mean? So it's okay to go through that, and then there's people then that experience it longer than that. And that is basically where it can exceed maybe anything from 2 weeks to 3 months, and you have this consistent wakefulness during the night, or even a real difficulty in getting to sleep for maybe 2 or 3 nights a week, every week for about 3 months. And really, the best way to describe insomnia is you want to sleep, but you can't. And there's opportunity to sleep, but you can't. and that it is then having a big impact in a negative way on you the next day when you wake up in terms of your thoughts, your feelings, even your diet and your outlook on life. And I say to everybody, like when we get into this space, is there's a lot of stigmas and stereotypes, when you talk about insomnia, because like, people automatically assume it's going to be this person with big, big dark ring eyes and their hair standing on their head and and their skin's all over the place and they're just like, hooked up to an IV drip for coffee and they're just, all it's not necessarily the case. It can happen in all walks of life, and the reality it is nobody knows what's going to be around the corner, and it can happen to anyone. And you know what? If it does, it's okay because it actually is really treatable.
Yeah, it is definitely treatable though, but I'm happy to see that over the past few years, we've been hearing more and more of the talk about insomnia and how it's really affecting your life. I mean, if I think about it, even for myself, the way I operate, if I wasn't able to sleep, like everything else falls apart. Like there is literally no way that you can operate well without a good sleep. So I love this. And I'm curious though, when it comes to you, I think a lot of the professionals in your industry have like a different angle towards the offer, a different framework in place in terms of how they overcome these issues with their clients. Now, when it comes to you, I think it's pretty obvious who is it that you target with your offers, right? It's people who struggle with this, mostly insomnia. But when it comes to the journey that they go through, is there some sort of formula that you created and now all of those clients go through it, or is it really just personalized one-on-one coaching for all of them? Is it done in the groups? Just tell us more about the process itself.
So the process obviously changes per person that comes in, okay? But the methodologies and how you apply the tools, I would weave that through a person's journey that they're at. I can't just take a big broad brush and say, this is it, and I will drag you through my system and let's hope to God we get you a result. The first thing I do is I have a program and it's called Sleep Rescue. And the reason why I call it Sleep Rescue is because a lot of the clients come and speak to me and they say, my body has forgotten how to sleep and I am lost. And I've tried everything. I have bought the lavender sprays, I have brought the magic pillows, I have bought the really expensive grounding sheets. I have bought the blackout blinds. They bought everything under the sun and it's still not working. And they feel really let down. They feel disappointed and they feel as if sleep equals failure. And over time, they develop this emotional relationship that the bedroom and sleep is actually a place where they go to fight
Mm.
emotionally and they get really annoyed rather than a place where it should be like, oh, I can't wait. I go to my bed tonight. I get to sleep because I really want to feel good tomorrow. It's a place where they dread and they actually think about it non-stop. And the closer that it gets to bedtime, the more their anxieties fire up, the more that negative thought gets in their head going, you're not going to sleep tonight again. You're going to be wrecked tomorrow. How are you going to cope tomorrow? How are you going to perform either in work, in family, or even in the community? It's all those wee negative thoughts go through your head. So anyone that comes to me is obviously on their own journey, and the reasons why they're there are all very, very different. People could come to me if it's been an episode that they've been experiencing for the last 3 months, which is great because that's short and we can nip that in the bud. But I may get someone who's coming to me and they could have been experiencing insomnia for the last 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. And it all very, very differs. But like I said, go back to what I said there. I do have a program called the Sleep Rescue Program, and it is a 6 week CBTI program. And what we do really on week one, we look at a thing called a sleep assessment. And it's really about me building a relationship with the person who's sitting in front of me. And the first thing I do to anybody that comes in and speak to me is I really thank them for coming through the door. It's a massive, brave thing to put your hand up and say, you know what, I need a bit of support with my sleep. Because the reality is, it's so easy to ignore our sleep, and sometimes we just take it for granted. Because what I feel is people just see sleep as just something that you do at the end of your day, rather than something that will actually prepare you both physically, mentally, and emotionally for the next day. Like if you get your sleep right, you are in a much, much better place the next day. Your
Yeah.
diet's better, your thinking's better, you're actually more motivated to go out a walk, go to the gym, exercise. You have the rose in your rose tinted glasses. And when you don't get a good night's sleep, you're all over the shop. So week one is really about thanking them, building a relationship, but also doing a really important thing is the sleep assessment, which is quite comprehensive, where we actually go through and we actually focus on three key areas. Where has this come from? How long has it been happening? And what are you doing to continue this on? And
Mm.
what are your thoughts around it? We then look at a lot of things like their relationship with their bedroom. We also look at then is how long has this been going on for? We look at actually the time they go to bed, but the most important thing that we look at actually is what time do you get up? I don't really care too much on what time you go to bed. I'm not too fussed on your bedtime routine, but what I'm more focusing on is what time you get up and what is your relationship like with your circadian rhythm. Because if you
Mhm.
think about sleep, sleep has two big, huge engines, and one is called your circadian rhythm, and the other one is called sleep pressure. So really is about getting that lovely sunlight at the start of our day, the trigger that wakefulness period in our brain, but also building up that sleep pressure. So sleep pressure kind of works in the same way it would with food. The longer you are without food, the hungrier you become. Well, sleep's very, very similar. So that's why I say to everybody is focus on a consistent get up time, even on the weekends. So a lot of the time on week one when they come in, it's a sleep assessment, but also a thing called sleep literacy. Is for so much for so long, the entire system, either Instagram, online, health, whatever, it is completely filled with nonsense when it comes to sleep. Like I hear things like sleep hacks. You can't hack sleep. Sleep's too big a responsibility for Mother Nature for allow you to hack it. You hear people going, take this supplement equals you get 8 hours sleep. You've all that nonsense going on, and my job is to try to unpack that and re-educate somebody. So it's about promoting their sleep literacy. And it's not a reflection on their IQ. It's actually cutting through all the waffle, all the noise, and just giving it to them straight in very simple, plain English. So anyone could kind of listen to it the first time or see it for the first time and get it. And one of the things too that we do with each session I work with somebody, I also give them a piece of paper and a pen, and I get them to write down the things that we're talking about. So when they leave their appointment, that they actually remember what we talked about rather than leaving the appointment and going, oh, what did he say? And then they forget. And then what they do then, they go on Dr. Google and they start typing in, or they go to AI or ChatGPT and they start figuring out something rather than what I've kind of told them, someone who's a trained professional in sleep. Week two then is kind of looking at, well, we also give them a sleep diary. And the sleep diary is very much kind of tracking your sleep about the time you got up, how many wakefulness periods you had, how did you feel, and then it's about written the quality of the sleep that you had between 1 and 5, and it's just an arbitrary number. One is not good, five means wow, gold medal, feel great. And then week two, then we actually look at then is your thoughts and your feelings when it kind of comes to sleep. And what we do there, and that is when the CBTI stuff comes into its own. It's about actually challenging your own negative thoughts when it kind of comes to sleep in a positive way. So we actually take your thought, and one of the thoughts that I see happen so much when it kind of comes to sleep is if I don't get to sleep now, I won't be able to cope tomorrow. That negative thought visits everyone.
Emmett, just a second here. We're gonna edit this out, don't worry. But could you maybe just give us like a speed rundown of the other weeks? I still want to give you the opportunity to mention it, but at the same time, we're gonna have to move on to like the businessy, more businessy stuff because that's what we do here. Is that okay?
Of course, no worries. And then week three then is about looking at your unhealthful thinking styles when it comes to sleep. We also then in week four we look at the thing called sleep restriction, where we could actually maybe reschedule your sleep patterns. Week five then is a thing called actually celebrating the wins, which I would kind of say, which is really, really important, is about, but also on week five, we also do a thing that's called challenging your negative beliefs around sleep. And then week six then is a thing called your sleep maintenance plan. It's about maintaining your sleep gains, but also planning ahead because no matter what, you're still going to get bumpy nights during the weeks that you leave me. But my whole entire goal is so you have a sleep plan that you know what to do, that you don't panic. So the whole gig on it really is quite simple. Is I'm a sleep coach. My job is to put all my knowledge in your brain, give you all the tools so that you can leave now and become your own sleep coach for the future. in the hope that you don't have to go see me again. But if you have to come and see me again, that's okay. And I say to everybody, they can touch base either through WhatsApp or through Instagram, and we can book them back in for a top-up session.
Yeah, definitely the goal is to not be dependable on your dependent on your coach for the rest of your life. But you made a big point here when it comes to this. And at one point you were talking about the fact that when it comes to today's day and age, obviously we live in a world of social media,
Yeah.
and it's quite easy for anybody to share their views and their perspectives and their advice, their tricks and whatnot. And I think this is really one of the biggest challenges when it comes to your industry, right? Just to have the ability to cut through all of that noise and ignore all of those people who are just coming from a place of, hey, let me make content about this, right? To
Mm.
you actually being somebody who is skilled and there's years of experience that you bring to the table. Now, just to build on top of this, obviously, there is a whole different set of questions that you need to be asking yourself pretty much on a daily basis as a business owner, right? So, like when it comes to your ability to scale this and help more and more people, what is it that you currently really do on the side of back end of the business and behind the scenes with your marketing or maybe specifically generating those contacts and leads to make all of this even possible?
To make it possible, I think the best thing I done at the very start was a thing called stakeholder mapping, where I was actually kind of going, right, who are all the stakeholders within my community, either online or actually physically within my community, that I could tap into where my area of work was the solution to some of their problems. So it was kind of going to my local pharmacist and saying, you have clients coming in here, they're getting a weekly prescription of sleep medication. Can I leave my business cards here? Can I maybe get half an hour to brief you on my service? And a lot of the community pharmacists are going, of course. And can I maybe put posters up here? Can you maybe promote some of my messaging on your own social media platforms? They go, yeah, no worries. But then also going then to some local community groups within my area that support people, and that could be men's groups, women's groups, or even just community groups in general. So a lot of time when I went down, I was actually just doing a really big stakeholder analysis on who all the groups were and how best could I kind of link in with them. So, for example, if it all had been a pharmacist, or a chemist, I could go to them and say, look, this is a service I do. This is the problem that I can solve. Can you promote it? And here's the referral pathway into my service. But equally too, I will let you know how your client is kind of getting on. Then I would go to a lot of sports clubs and say, look, you are a high performance sports club. What I can do there is actually increase your athlete's performance by 1 or 2% by looking at their sleep. And the thing is that for some weird reason, people will assume they're a sports person, therefore they're immune from insomnia. It is amazing whenever I go on to work with these sports clubs that at the end of my workshops, athletes come up to me and say, what you just said there now, that just sounds exactly like me. Like after a bad game, I can't sleep that night. You know, even if there's a big game coming up, I can't sleep that night because I'm, worried about, how am I going to perform and stuff like that. So it's about developing that pathway with them. Then the other one then is saying, right, is there any GP practices and or doctor practices that I can link in with that rather than just handing someone sleep medication and a leaflet and saying, oh, away you go, I could be the potentially that first line of contact and they could refer people into me as well. So there's different ways to refer and plus you have that self-referral option that people could just follow my Instagram account and then they would message me through Instagram or they would email me or sometimes too what's actually really helpful is word of mouth. As people turn around going, there's a guy here, he helped me. I've tried everything under the sun. And then after 4 or 5 weeks, I've been sleeping the best ever in the last 20 years. So there's
Well,
different
there is not
referral
really a
pathways.
better lead than that.
Sorry?
I think there is not really a better lead than that if you just let your work speak for you. So,
Yeah. So I
yeah.
would also say too, like whenever I go through and when I work with someone, the one thing I do ask at the end, which I think it's really key, is feedback from them, in terms of what was good about the service, what's missing, and what could be improved. Three simple questions, really simple questions, but they're actually quite powerful. And as a result of me doing it with all the people I have worked with, they actually have the best ideas. And you know what? Which I quite like about it as well. It takes the pressure off me from always having to come up with the ideas. No, I
Mhm.
ask them because at the end of the day, they have lived the experience. They're going through this. They know what catches their eye. They know what they what has to be said or heard. You've all that. So And then I also asked them, can you give me a testimonial of what it was like to actually use my service and where are you now? And that kind of localizes it for people. So rather than people just kind of going, no, he's making another review up, you're able to have someone physically say, I experienced insomnia for the last 15 years. At the end of 6 weeks, my symptoms are a lot better. They're not cured, they are a lot more manageable, and I'm getting far better night sleeps. I'm sleeping 4 or 5 nights a week rather than only sleeping two. And it's
Yeah.
about being realistic in the feedback, where I would find too, in a lot of the sleep hacks and the stuff that you see online, it's kind of going, we will cure your insomnia, we will fix it, and stuff like that. And very mindful of the word cure and fix, which means to me completely remove it. The reality is that's just too big a thing to guarantee.
Emmett, the more you talk about it, the more I realize that there is just so many people that are experiencing this, and they never got any sort of help when it comes to this. It's a big issue that you're solving here, and with that in mind, I'm also curious, where are you taking this business? Where are you taking this practice that you developed? If you look at your goals and the vision that you created, maybe from a short term perspective, maybe till the end of this year. What would you say are those biggest goals for you? The biggest targets, maybe the revenue that you want to hit, maybe the milestones that you have set for yourself.
See, to be honest with you, I'm not, for me, the milestones is I want to try to support as many people as I can. Because I know more and more people kind of come through when they tell me that it's been, and this isn't to get like an Oscar type speech or spiel, but they would say it's nearly life changing. Because can you can imagine for some people come in, they feel exhausted, like physically exhausted, mentally, spiritually exhausted. And for the first time ever in about 15 years, they actually feel as if, wow, like I feel as if someone's gave me a new lease of life. Their skin, their complexion, everything's far better. But in terms of where I see it, I I like to just I'm not even mad on the business side of it, to be honest. With you. I'm more about helping people. The business will take care of itself. I'm all about just trying to get this out there, trying to help as many people as I can. I don't really see it as a business, to be honest with you. I just see it as a
That's
sense of
refreshing.
I don't like I don't like using the word business and health in the same spiel. Whatever happened, you just being able to have knowledge and skills and having a good heart and just being able to support someone.
This is a very refreshing perspective, but that also begs a different question. Now, let me ask you this. When you recently I've been getting into more and more conversations about how there is a lot of people like you who are intentionally either stepping into the business or pivoting within their business to make sure that it's truly aligned with how they feel on the internal side and just like what is the purpose of me doing this, stuff like that, right? So when it comes to your vision of impacting so many lives, realistically, what are you expecting to be the biggest bottleneck of that? Or what are you expecting to stand in the way of achieving that?
Well, what can stand in the way of it is the amount of noise and crap that's out there at the minute within the system when it kind of comes to sleep. And people parting with their hard-earned dosh, their hard-earned cash, or their dollars, or their pounds, or their yen, or whatever it is, to people that don't really give a crap about them. That will say, take the supplement and we'll guarantee you that it helps. The person takes the supplement, doesn't work. Then all of a sudden, that human being feels even more lost. And they now feel as if, well, maybe I can't be fixed. Maybe my body has forgotten how to sleep. My whole idea is about letting people know that outside of sleep hygiene, there's actually a structured way to get you sleeping. And if I can, throughout all this, my job is to educate people that your body knows how to sleep. You don't need to hack it. You just need to be compassionate with it, be kind to it, and also go to adult sleep coaches who are number one qualified, are insured, and are professional enough to give you the right advice and guidance, rather than listening to some wacko online telling you that this pillow will help you sleep better, this lavender spray will do whatever. It's all a load of nonsense. Really, my job is to try to be, in a way, challenge that crap and to try to be a sensible voice. And would you call it a business? I don't even know what you would. I would just call it like maybe I just want to be that sensible voice out there that turns around and say, guys, don't listen to that person. See, when they turn around, use words like guarantee, cure, fix. No. run away from them.
Emmett, you're different. I like you. I like the place where you're coming from. This is very refreshing, and obviously, I would highly recommend for anybody listening right now to really take a deeper look into your work and what you can really achieve with your clients. Thank you so much for actually taking some of your time today and sharing this story with me and the listeners that we have here. If somebody would like to find you on social media, maybe the website, whatever that might be, how should they go about it?
Well, they can just follow me on my Instagram account, I'll Sleep Coach NI. That's the easiest way to kind of get me. They can either follow me. I put up content all the time, which is really like helpful in terms of like we cut through all the nonsense. When I do use a little bit of comedy in there. I think it's important to use a little bit of comedy when it kind of comes to health. Then there's also very serious messages that we kind of put up there as well. So the contents are constantly being refreshed all the time. People can like it if they wish, and they can follow it. And then if they want, they can reach out to me then through Instagram, or they can just send me an email at adultsleepcoachna@yahoo.co.uk, and then I'm happy to kind of set up a wee appointment with them to see where they're at.
Beautiful. Well, thank you again. It was a pleasure to have you on here.
All right, thanks very much, guys. See you all later.
Now, to our listeners, if today's conversation inspired you as well, make sure to subscribe to Founders Future on your favorite platform. And also, if you're a business owner, more specifically a consultant or a coach, or you have an agency and you're trying to scale the business and really enhance both your sales and marketing efforts, also visit closers.io. Get in touch with our team and discover how exactly we scaled our company from 0 to over 30 million per year in less than 3 years. Until then, keep on climbing, and I'll see you on the next one.